some audience feedback. We'll let them see each participant's score and tell us what they liked best and what they think that person could have done to improve upon.
All right, Callie.
Can you read it? You might want to read it.
Okay, we'll pretend like they can't hear this. Benny, 3. Frank, 8. Sue, 9. Maurice, 1.
You didn't hear that.
Any feedback on that? Do we have anybody in the crowd who's been through interviews much and has any tips, opinions?
Mari makes a valid point.
I like his honesty.
You know that she said Maury 1, right? Not Maury 1. So we feel like Sue provided a good answer, a thorough answer, that Frank provided a good answer. Benny's answer wasn't bad, but it was awfully short. And I'm not sure that Frank answered the question that we asked.
Maurice.
Oh, Maury. Sorry. Sorry about that, Frank. Getting my names confused here. All right, Georgia, let's move on to round 2.
Okay, get ready, contestants. Frank, you're up first. Customer service is a prime focus on this job. Have you ever had a job that required a lot of contact with the public? If so, describe your experience with irate customers. What are important factors to consider when dealing with the public?
Well, Georgia, most of my positions I've held required contact with the public. From time to time, there will be irate customers. Working with an irate customer is like an oncoming train. You should stop, look, and listen. Stop talking, look the client in the eye, and then listen. Give them your complete attention, and then answer their question.
Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
Sue, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you, Georgia. I've heard it and I've had time to read over it. When you work with people, regardless of whether they're clients or coworkers, your focus should be on providing good customer service. It's important to try to understand where they're coming from. You should listen to the words they use. Make sure you answer the questions they ask, and it's a good idea to repeat their questions back to them. After you've answered a question, ask them if the answer you provided makes sense to them. Sometimes you have to find a different way to explain things depending on who you're speaking with.
Thank you, Sue.
My pleasure.
Maurice, have you ever had a job that required a lot of contact with the public? If so, describe your experience with irate customers. What are important factors to consider when dealing with the public? And remember, customer service is a prime focus on this job.
I always focus on the customer. Every job I've had involved working with people. I don't live on Mars. When you work with people, you have to provide good customer service. My philosophy is do unto others as you would have done unto you. You can quote me on that.
Isn't that a quote from the Bible, Maurice?
I don't think it's appropriate to mix church and state, Tally. I'm going to have to decline to answer that question.
All right.
Thank you, Maurice. Benny, customer service is a prime focus in this job. Have you ever had a job that required a lot of contact with the public? If so, describe your experience with irate customers. What are important factors to consider when dealing with the public?
Yes, I have in my current job.
Do you want to expand on that, Benny?
Well, the customer's always right, right?
Is that your answer? This isn't Jeopardy.
Should I get my supervisor?
Is that
Oh.
final answer?
Yes, that is my final answer. I'll get my supervisor.
Alrighty then. Georgia, have you had time to calculate the score?
Yes, I have. Round 2, Benny, 4. Frank, 9. Sue, 9. Maurice, 3.
3? You're being generous. Any input, tips?
Marty's just sincere.
I feel like somebody's back there with a good, somebody has some good input, but they're not providing. No.
Well, you better just call them out.
All right, well, we'll move on to the next.
Sue will begin this first. Sue, can you tell us about a time you had to deal with an angry and irate client on the telephone? What factors were important to consider when facing this?
Well, currently I work in the personnel department, and many times we've had to handle issues that arise from our employees. I treat them with the courtesy that I would any customer. It's important to try to understand the customer and the employee's point of view. You should not try to multitask. Give the person in front of you your full attention.
Great, thank you. Maurice, would you like the question repeated?
Are you addressing the space cowboy?
Yes, Maurice, it's time to giddy up. You have the question in front of you, but we'd be happy to repeat it.
No, I've worked with irate people. Most of the time it's been guests on my show, and we actually encourage them to be irate. It increased our ratings. There's been a time or two that I encountered or annoyed a colleague. It's usually a woman, and she was mad because she didn't get her way. I just said, listen here, little bee. When you're in charge, you can do things your way. But since I'm running this show, it's my way or the highway.
Thank you very much, Space Cowboy.
Denny, tell us about your experience with angry and irate clients on the telephone. What factors were important to consider when facing this?
Well, there have been many times when people have cursed at me. I try to stay calm and see the situation from the client's point of view. But sometimes that just makes them angrier. So I usually offer them to get my supervisor.
Of course, I know if your supervisor was applying for this job.
Frank, give an example of a time that you had to deal with an angry and irate client on the telephone. What factors were important to consider when facing this?
Well, it's important to see the client's point of view. When you're on the phone, you have to remember that the client can't see your face, so the tone of your voice must remain calm. Remember, the client isn't necessarily mad at you, they're upset with the situation. So you have to do your best to improv the situation and not take the anger they are projecting personally. You remain composed and don't take a defense stance. Explain to the client that you want to help them and work through their issues on one at a time.
Thank you, Frank. That was excellent. Georgia, I think we're ready to score this, right?
Sounds good, Tally. Round 3. Benny, 3. Frank, 9. Sue, 8. Maurice, 1. The number 1.
Any feedback? You don't feel that they actually answered?
That's just my observation, is they didn't really answer the question, they had good answer, but.
But they didn't actually answer the question.
We did have good answers, thank you. However, this is not a behavioral interview, so we don't have to give specific examples. Thank you, though.
And Mari's just keeping it real.
I think I thought to check with Enmore's red cup. Yeah, red solo cup is not good.
Do you have, can you think, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have a good example of a time? Have you heard, answers to questions like that would be a good example? Because that's kind of what we were looking for in the feedback, was things that other people have heard that would be a good example. I put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one thing, I do, as Frank acknowledged, is